Imagine a highway rumored to be haunted, not by ghosts, but by streaks of blurred headlights vanishing at 300 kilometers per hour. Every police car in Japan was bound by a limit, 180 kilometers per hour, no exception. Yet in the shadows, a secret society of doctors, lawyers, and engineers made impossible speed their minimum standard. They were not reckless criminals. They were the asphalt's invisible samurai, men who upheld a strict code that would one day destroy them. Why did the most disciplined racers Japan ever produced vanish overnight? The answer begins on a stretch of highway where physics, not police, marked the true frontier. On the edge of Tokyo Bay, the Wangan-sen stretches out like a ribbon of possibility. 12 lanes of concrete sweeping along the water, linking Tokyo to Yokohama. At night, the city's noise fades, and the expressway transforms into something otherworldly. This is not the winding touge of mountain drifters or the tangled loops of Osaka's Kanjazoku. The Wangan is long, flat, and almost hypnotic, a straightaway that runs for over 40 kilometers with only gentle bends, engineered for relentless speed. But that same design turns the highway into a crucible. At 180 kilometers per hour, most cars feel light, almost free. Push past 250 kilometers per hour, and the world begins to blur. Above 300 kilometers per hour, the laws of physics are no longer suggestions, they are threats. Every kilometer at those speeds is a test. Tires heat up and start to deform. Oil temperatures climb, and even the most expensive engines strain against the limits of metallurgy. Aerodynamics, which barely matter at city pace, become a matter of survival. A car not built for this will lift, wander, or come apart. The smallest bump or gust of wind can send a machine and its driver into the guardrail or into the bay. Japanese automakers understood this. In the 1980s and the 1990s, nearly every car sold domestically, sports cars, sedans, and even police cruisers, came from the factory with a speed limiter set at 180 kilometers per hour. It was a silent agreement. This was fast enough for public roads, and fast enough for any law enforcement pursuit. The Wangan's emptiness at night became a kind of invitation, but also a warning. To go beyond the limiter was to step into a territory where no official could follow. What makes the Wangan unique is not just its length or its engineering, but the demands it places on anyone who tries to master it. A car must be able to hold maximum speed, not for seconds, but for minutes at a time. Sustained velocity means every part, engine, transmission, brakes, and tires, must endure forces and heat that would destroy ordinary vehicles. Even the airflow around the car becomes a living thing, threatening to lift the nose or rip body panels away. This was not a playground for amateurs. The Wangan was a proving ground for the few who believed that perfection was possible, if only for a moment. Here, the villain was not the police or rival gangs. It was the physics of speed itself, a relentless opponent that demanded total commitment, flawless engineering, and a willingness to risk everything for a taste of absolute velocity. Only those with the skill, the resources, and the obsession to overcome these challenges could hope to leave their mark on this asphalt arena. Membership in the Midnight Club was never open to the masses. At its peak, the roster rarely exceeded 30. These were not street kids with something to prove. They were surgeons, business owners, engineers, people with the means and the discipline to treat speed as a science, not a spectacle. Some ran tuning shops by day, others managed clinics or companies. but all shared a devotion to precision that set them apart from every other crew in Japan's underground. Getting in was almost impossible. Money alone meant nothing. The first test was your machine. If your car could not cruise at 250 kilometers per hour or more, you were invisible. Even then, you did not just show up and join. Newcomers started as apprentices, trailing the group for at least a year, attending every meeting, never missing a single run. Only about 1 in 10 made it through. The rest were quietly turned away, their ambitions left at the on-ramp. The club's culture was built on secrecy. Real names were rarely spoken. Meetings were arranged through cryptic newspaper ads or coded messages. Photos were discouraged, and any trace of identity, license plates, faces, even car builds, was kept hidden from outsiders. At night, these men became shadows, their cars anonymous blurs on the expressway, their lives outside the club walled off from the world of speed. Authority in the club came from shared obsession and mutual respect. There were no public arguments, no social media call-outs, no grandstanding. Instead, the group enforced its own rules with quiet finality. If someone broke protocol or drew the wrong kind of attention, they were simply gone. No explanations, no drama. The threat of expulsion was enough to keep everyone in line. To the public, the Midnight Club barely existed. Other racers whispered about them, but few ever saw a real sticker in the wild. The silver midnight decal, a small, understated badge, became the ultimate status symbol on the Wangan. It was a warning and a mark of respect. Imposters learned quickly. Fake the sticker, and you would wake up to find your car vandalized, the counterfeit removed. The real members protected their myth as fiercely as their anonymity. This was a fraternity bound by discipline, not bravado. They did not chase chaos or headlines. They chased perfection, night after night, in silence. Their authority came not from violence or numbers, but from a reputation that made even the loudest street gangs yield the fast lane. In a world obsessed with exposure, they became legends by staying invisible. No one joined the Midnight Club by accident. Before a new member could even think about earning the Silver Midnight sticker, they faced a trial that lasted at least a year. The process was as much about character as it was about speed. Apprentices showed up for every meeting, every run, no matter the hour or the weather. They learned to follow orders without question, to keep secrets without hesitation, and most importantly, to put public safety above pride. The club's prime directive was non-negotiable: do not endanger the public. If traffic was heavier than expected, the night's run was canceled without complaint. If a driver lost control or took a reckless risk, there was no second chance. Expulsion was immediate and permanent. The chairman, rarely seen, never named, enforced the rules with absolute authority. His word carried the weight of law. Members described a culture where even a hint of arrogance or carelessness could end an apprenticeship overnight. The club's standards were legendary. Only 1 in 10 apprentices ever made it to full membership. Most were quietly turned away, their ambitions and expensive cars left at the curb. Money, connections, or reputation counted for nothing if a candidate failed to prove discipline and respect for the code. The Silver Midnight sticker was more than a badge. It was a symbol recognized across Japan's underground. Other racers, even the loudest and most aggressive, knew to move aside when they saw it. The sticker signaled not just speed, but trustworthiness, a promise that this car would not endanger bystanders or act without control. Attempts to fake the sticker never lasted long. Imposters often woke to find their cars vandalized, the false emblem scraped away. The real members guarded the symbol's meaning as fiercely as their own anonymity. The sticker was silver and silent, its meaning enforced by deeds, not words. Inside the club, secrecy and discipline shaped every interaction. Meetings were arranged through coded messages, and details of upcoming runs were shared only with those who had earned absolute trust. There were no spectators, no outsiders, no leaks. The rules were understood as a matter of personal honor. For the Midnight Club, the greatest disgrace was not being caught by police. It was breaking faith with their own code. For a decade, that uncompromising discipline kept them invisible to the authorities and untouchable to rivals. On the Wangan, chaos always lurked at the margins, but the club's rules held it at bay. The silver sticker was the proof, a small, silent mark of the most disciplined outlaws Japan had ever known. Proof on the Wangan came in numbers, not stories. The Midnight Club's legend was built on a single car, the Yoshida Special, better known as Blackbird. This Porsche 911 Turbo was stripped of pretense and rebuilt for one purpose: outrunning everything else, night after night. The transformation began with its heart, a 3.4-liter air-cooled flat six, stroked and armored with Mahali-forged pistons and titanium rods, straight from Porsche's racing bins. A single Keiki 33S turbocharger, enormous for its era, fed a race-spec intercooler and twin-plug ignition. The result was over 600 horsepower at 6,200 revolutions per minute, 715 Newton-meters of torque at 6,600, and a red line at 7,500 revolutions per minute. Numbers that most street 911s never approached, let alone held for minutes at a time. The transmission was no off-the-shelf unit. Instead, a 4-speed box was paired with a clutch and flywheel from the legendary 956 Le Mans car, designed to withstand brutal launches and the endless strain of triple-digit speeds. Suspension came from the 934 and 935 models, tuned for high-speed stability. Brakes, rarely discussed, were massive multi-piston setups engineered to haul the car down from 300 kilometers per hour on public roads. An essential, not an afterthought. Aerodynamics were subtle but calculated. An auto garage TBK front bumper with projector lamps for midnight runs managed airflow and cooling. NACA ducts kept the engine bay from heat soaking during 10-minute sprints at full throttle. The rear wing, inspired by Porsche's own racers, pressed the car to the tarmac. Even the mirrors and seats, dry carbon shells wrapped in white leather from a 959, were chosen for function as much as style. Every kilogram mattered at these speeds. Performance was not rumor. At the Yatabe Proving Ground, Japan's high-speed test circuit, the Blackbird was clocked at over 300 kilometers per hour, officially in the high 290s, with later accounts claiming a 308 kilometers per hour run. Whether or not that highest number was ever captured on paper, the car's street registration was never in doubt. On the open Wangan, witnesses remembered the Blackbird running at 320 kilometers per hour or more, leaving Ferraris and Lamborghinis behind. The cost was staggering. Over years of upgrades, the Blackbird swallowed resources. Insiders estimated the total investment at $2 million. Some called it a science experiment with a license plate. Others called it the fastest outlaw Porsche in Japan. But the data told the real story. The Blackbird proved that with enough discipline, engineering, and money, a streetcar could shatter the limits that held ordinary drivers and police at 180 kilometers per hour. For the Midnight Club, it was order over chaos, A machine that did not just survive the Wangan, but ruled it. Each run turned legend into fact, making the impossible real. By the late 1990s, the Wangan's midnight calm had started to fracture. The expressway, once a sanctuary for the disciplined few, grew crowded with outsiders who had no interest in codes or boundaries. The most disruptive were the Bosozoku, a new breed of motorcycle gang that thrived on chaos. They rode in packs, engines screaming, exhausts echoing through the tunnels, weaving across lanes in slow-moving clusters that blocked every path. Some nights their numbers swelled into the dozens, and they would snake across the highway, ignoring speed, sometimes riding side by side to create rolling roadblocks that brought traffic to a crawl. Unlike the Midnight Club, the Bosozoku prized visibility over invisibility. Their bikes were loud, their presence impossible to ignore, and their attitude toward risk bordered on reckless, especially after midnight, when alcohol and bravado mixed freely. For the midnight drivers, these gangs were more than a nuisance. They were a threat to everything the club stood for. The Wangan's straightaways, once open for controlled high-speed runs, became unpredictable. A single biker drifting into the fast lane could turn a 300 km/h sprint into a deadly gamble. The police, sensing the rising disorder, responded with new tactics. Checkpoints appeared at on-ramps and rest stops. Patrol cars lingered at known gathering spots, and unmarked vehicles started to shadow the expressway's busiest stretches. But the real danger wasn't the law. It was the entropy creeping onto the asphalt. Every night became a negotiation between precision and unpredictability, between the club's old order and the growing chaos of the street. The tension was palpable, a sense that the margin for error was vanishing, and that the next run could be the last one where discipline held the upper hand. It began with a blur of headlights and the howl of engines, another midnight run on the Bayshore route, where discipline once kept chaos at bay. But that night, the Wangan was crowded with more than just the usual shadows. A pack of Bosozoku bikers, loud and unpredictable, drifted into the fast lane at speed. What happened next would echo through the underground for decades. At over 300 km/h, even a single mistake is unforgiving. A midnight club car, trying to avoid a biker who veered suddenly, lost control. Metal struck metal. In seconds, the crash became a chain reaction. One bike was thrown into the median. Another tumbled across lanes. Cars spun out, colliding with innocent motorists caught in the wrong place at the worst possible time. Flames lit up the expressway. When the smoke cleared, 2 bikers were dead. 6 bystanders were hospitalized, their only crime being on the road that night. For the Midnight Club, this was not just a tragedy, it was the ultimate violation of their code. They had sworn never to endanger the public. Now, no excuse could erase what had happened. There was no debate, no plea for forgiveness. The chairman called an emergency meeting. By dawn, the decision was unanimous and absolute. The club would dissolve, effective immediately. Stickers were stripped from bumpers, phone numbers erased, cars hidden away or quietly sold. In a single night, years of legend vanished. The samurai of the asphalt chose self-destruction over dishonor, leaving behind only silence and the memory of a code that proved impossible to keep forever. Today, Japan's expressways are under constant surveillance, with cameras, speed traps, and zero tolerance. Yet every so often a flash of taillights vanishes into the city haze, and the myth endures. The Midnight Club proved that discipline can hold back chaos, but only for so long. In a world addicted to speed, the line between order and destruction is never truly erased. What would you risk for a taste of freedom?